Welcome to the Put On Waivers Media Group, home of the Put On Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
And welcome, everybody, to another glorious episode of the Put On Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, along with Ryan Holmes, and we are podcasting off the rainy, drenched shores of the Pacific Ocean. It's been crazy rain out here in Southern California. I guess we need it, so I'm not going to complain too much. I would say a shout out to our folks in Northern California, that's some serious flooding going on up there. So if you got any family up there, hope they're okay, because I know a lot of Raider fans are up there as well. So and some Niner fans, we still love y'all. So by all means, be safe as humanly possible with all this water going on. And some people in California don't know how to drive when it rains, so it's kind of crazy. I did want to give a shout out to Denny Killington. He is the gentleman who helped Damar Hamlin after that almost fatal situation in the Bengal game. I thought that was really, that's what those guys do and train for, and it's crazy when they have to come into action. I don't know how people who get paid to do that, they just bounce in and just take over in those moments.
Yeah, there are reports where they started CPR within a minute, less than a minute from him going down on the field. And they train, those athletic trainers, you see them at all the sporting events. I see them all the time when I'm at sporting events, and they don't have to react to situations that are life-threatening like that very often. That doesn't happen. That's rare. And then for them to run out onto the field and get that going that quickly, they basically saved his life. They said the good news is, everything coming out today was he was neurologically intact. So his brain's functioning. He has movement in his hands and his feet. The first thing he wrote down, who won the game? Like, he didn't even realize he was basically out for 2 days. So everything's encouraging. It seems like that, he's got a long way to go. But he pulled through kind of the toughest times of this, and it looks like there's some good that's going to come out of this on the back end. And I can't wait for him to find out that foundation's raised over $7.5 million now.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to hear as far as that goes. So as far as the show goes, I think next week I want to have a kind of award show, kind of like, hey, you pick an MVP, we'll pick an MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, all that good stuff. We'll do that. I'll go back and forth with that. So make sure you tune in next week. And then next week is no Raider football, of course, because they did not make the playoffs. But still a lot to talk about: free agency, the draft, all those good things there. So we'll definitely hit you up with that as well. Thanks everybody who's watching the show from Stamford, Connecticut, Windsor Locks, Connecticut, Melbourne, Victoria, Barrington, Rhode Island, Charlotte, North Carolina, Anchorage, Alaska, British Columbia, Lake Forest, California, North Adams, Massachusetts, and Washington, D.C.
We get a lot of East Coast listeners for Raiders podcast.
We do. The top of the list is Fresno, California. So that means the cars are listening. Sacramento, Los Angeles, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Tacoma, Washington, Walnut Creek, which is out there in Bay Area. So I'd like to give the East Coast a little bit of love, because a lot of people from California listen to as well. All right, so we got some stuff for you. We got some all 22, which we love to post for you. Let's go with the overall. Let's start off with the overall here from Adams here. Really nice design. I love window dressing on this play when Renfro going in motion.
Yeah, let me pull it up here real quick. So this is when they hit Devontae Adams on the overall. I believe this was in the second quarter. And they got him in the right defense here. They're playing cover 6, so they got, basically quarters to the top there on the Holland side of the screen, and then basically playing cover 2 to the bottom against Adams. He's got a tight split. That's the first giveaway here that he may work across the field. He doesn't have as much ground to cover, but you see Renfro come in motion. They fake that jet sweep, and then watch Fred Warner. He goes with the jet sweep. He opens up the middle of the field. Matt Collins is going to clear out with a post route here, and the key is here he's splitting the 2 defenders, so they're in quarters. So both of these guys run with him, because he didn't run outside with a corner or go right to the safety. So by splitting them, they both kind of run with him, and that opens up that whole side of the field. And then, Devontae Adams is coming across. And the one thing I like about McDaniels is offense when you watch the L22, these guys have landmarks when they're running these crossing routes. And you see this all the time. They're always working right up the hash, or they're splitting the hash. So he gets vertical in the middle of the field. So the backside safety has to respect if Adams is going to break back out to his right. But he doesn't. He goes left, and obviously there's no one there to cover this. And Jarrett Stidham throws a good ball. He puts it right on him, throws it in rhythm. Raiders get a big play. I want to say this was close to 30 yards.
Yeah, that's what JT O'Sullivan likes to call wide ass open on that play.
That is wide ass open.
It's wide ass open.
And this play they've run, I mean, they haven't put the window dressing in the fake sweep, but they've run these routes where you have, the post with the over coming across a lot. They've run that frequently this year. They kind of just dressed it up with Renfro so they could pull the middle linebacker out and create even more space, because Fred Warner is probably the best coverage middle linebacker. So they needed to get him out from straight dropping into that zone, because that's where Fred Warner would be, is covering that side of the field.
Yep. Good to see how you explained the importance of Matt Collins on that route up the field. Just kind of take two people with him, if you will.
Yeah, he splits them. So that's kind of the key. They couldn't hand him off, because it depends on which way he's going to break, which one of those two guys cover six is going to cover.
If he breaks out, then
the corner takes him. If he breaks on the post, but he didn't declare that early enough, so they both still had to go with him, because he didn't sell the route at that point. He was still running vertically.
Knowing the rules of the defense when you're calling plays, right? That's pretty cool. And then let's go to the Waller touchdown. I gotta say, that was a beautiful opening drive by the Raiders. I'm here, capped off by the touchdown from Stidham to Darren Waller.
Yeah, this one's interesting too. They have 5 down linemen here, so that they like to play a lot of quarters coverage, a lot of cover 3 in this game. But here, they're basically playing the run here. They have 5 down linemen. They have 3 linebackers, the strong safeties in the box, and you have the corner outside of Waller. So essentially they got 8 guys in the box and a force player right there. So this was a great look for the Raiders to run this play. It's play action to Jacobs. Stidham immediately gets out to his right, and he makes a great throw on the run here to Waller. The key here is Waller selling it. Waller actually comes off like he's going to block. So he comes out, kind of shuffles his feet. Hufanga immediately looks into the backfield, and at that point, Waller's an elite athlete. He's going to run away from a safety if there's an eye violation here. As Jack Del Rio used to love saying, eye violation. You see both linebackers come up. You see Waller just basically beat Hufanga, and the key here is Adams, and the safety on that the safety here is all the way over on the other side of the field. So it's one-on-one coverage with Waller, and this is why I've always been harping all year. They need to keep Waller, because he can win one-on-one vertically opposite of Adams.
Yeah, I mean he almost is like, it would be so nice to have a vertical threat receiver, but when you have somebody with the speed of Darren Waller, it's hard for even corners or safeties to stay with him. He's just an explosive athlete. You can't teach what that guy can do.
Oh, definitely.
Let's see here. The last one is, we got a little PBU action here. I thought this was going to go for a pick 6. I thought he was gone. I thought he was going to catch us and go on this one.
So this was tough. I watched the whole defense of all 22. There was only a couple of plays I could pick out. There was a lot of blown coverages, a lot of bad defense, but this play stood out. This was third and goal or 3rd and 4. The Raiders have run this coverage a little bit this year. This is cover 4 palms, or as some people call it 2 read. So the key here is Amik Robertson actually is on the outside here. He's reading 2 to the quarterback, so he's not reading the receiver right across from him. He's reading the inside receiver, and if that guy breaks out, then you see Robertson react, that he jumps up into the flat to cover that. Then Merrick would take the vertical route from the number 1 receiver, and Tyler Hall inside, he doesn't have that receiver. It looks like it's man coverage, but it's not. So he's going to jump into the curl route there. The running back's on the other side of the field, so there is no one to threaten the flat here. So if 1 and 2 go vertical, then Hall has to cover the flat. But since there's no flat threat here with the running back on the other side of the field, he sticks in the curl window, and he jumps this pass, and he's got his eyes on the quarterback the whole time. So this is actually a great coverage rep by Tyler Hall, and he gets his hands on the ball. Would love for him to pick it off. This is in the 4th quarter, I believe. But it's a good coverage. I love this coverage because it looks like cover 2. You think it could be cover 4, but it basically is cover 4 that converts to cover 2 based on the route of the inside receivers. They're doing the same thing at the top of the screen. You see Hobbs is reading the tight end there. As soon as the tight end runs across the field, then he has number 1. He picks up the number 1 receiver. So if Kittle ran an out here, then that's Hobbs's guy. So this is a good coverage that they've had some success with, and Amik Robertson's actually been pretty good. This is one of the better coverages he's been in, and there's been a few times this year I've noted that this coverage, it's Amik Robertson on the outside that's reacting to that out route by the number 2 receiver.
Cool stuff there. I do like that one. That's one of those ones where you're in the living room, you just smack your hands because it's a good play, but you could taste that interception there. You could just taste it. I thought it was gonna be a pick.
The downside with this coverage at this spot of the field is if they ran this again and they saw this on tape, then you throw to the number 1 receiver because Merrick's not going to get there based on this look.
Yes,
you see Brock Purdy immediately come off of it and he's going to Kittle. But if he would have looked back out, then the number 1 receiver would have been open in the back corner of the end zone.
Yeah, good stuff there. Thank you for that. I'm gonna go Raiders this time only because the Chiefs, because with the whole thing with Stidham and everything like that. So I'm gonna go with the Raiders here. I got a couple plays here. This is the first one, 13 personnel. You got Josh Jacobs here, and I did think that you had a huge compliment from Nick Bosa talking about this is the best running back he's ever played against. I think that's a huge compliment to him. But here you have him just jump outside. It looks like he has everything. Actually, this is the wrong place. It's not 13 personnel. It's just it's 11 personnel. You have him just making somebody miss. Bosa looks like he's gonna just tackle him in the backfield. He doesn't tackle him in the backfield, and he just jumps inside. Nice, great jump cut from him inside to get 6 or 7 yards here. And this is what Josh Jacobs does. And this is where, like, if they're able to bring him back next year, you have that hope that say, hey, if we can just get somebody here who can get some offensive linemen here where they can, and maybe get a tight end situation where they can block for him a little bit more, he wouldn't have to make all these cuts behind the line of scrimmage. But he did a great job there of getting loose. And I think that the Bosa made that compliment because Bosa missed him on that play. So I understand that as well. This is the 13 personnel play action fake where you have Stidham. This is the high point ball to Darren Waller. This is we do promote Darren Waller on this program because we like Darren Waller a lot. He's really good. But like this, when you see the high point of this ball, and you also see like the still photography of it, you see how high he is off the ground. You cannot defend what this guy brings to the table. Now, health has to be an issue. Like things are an issue sometimes with football players who are this athletic, whatever. But I know he's getting maybe 31 years old, but he still in this situation, he can get down the field so consistently and definitely needs to be playing a lot more snaps than Foster Moreau, who we've talked about on this show for years.
Yeah, the key on that play too is you saw the motion from Horsted.
Yep.
But watch where they're in cover 3. So the free safety is supposed to be in the middle of the field. Where does he go? His first reaction is to jump to the side of the field to the hash where Devontae Adams is. Yep. And there's Darren Waller winning on the other side of the field, vertically opposite Adams. So I know a lot of Raider fans want to trade Darren Waller because they were down on him for most of the year, but they're not going to go out in free agency or even the draft find a guy that can do what Darren Waller can do.
No, that's why he was he's one of the few nuggets that Mr. John Gruden left. That was actually a good one. Thank you, Greg Olson, for that one as well. Let's see here. So as far as we'll say the questions for a second. Game plan, game flow. How do you like the game plan against the Niners? We'll start with John. We'll start with McDaniel first, then we'll go into Graham.
Well, I thought the first drive was good right out of the gate because you saw them get a little bit of movement, a lot of play action that they rolled out Stidham twice. So they didn't leave a landmark for the defense to attack, and then they attacked the coverage rules of what they thought the 49ers were going to be in. A lot of cover 3 from the 49ers in this game. I was surprised how much they left Adams one-on-one on the outside with Ward. I thought it was a little too much. Obviously, the last play of the game was an interception. Again, it was I believe cover 3. They had left him one-on-one on the outside. So Adams had a chance to win a lot. And, I thought that it was an aggressive game plan. I literally thought they were going to run the ball and go quick game, but they didn't. It was, we're going to run the ball. We're going to play action. We're going to throw this thing down the field. Now, I don't know if that was by design, But that's what Jarrett Stidham did. He didn't take the check downs. He wasn't looking for the easy, quick completion. He was pushing the ball vertically. And then he gave his playmakers a chance. Now that it worked this week, I don't know if that's going to work every week. You can't throw the ball down the field as much as he did and expect to have that kind of success every week, because Devontae Adams made some crazy catches. Darren Waller goes up and makes a really good catch. There might be weeks where Darren Waller gets hit and that ball goes off his hands and it's an incompletion, or Devontae Adams doesn't make a crazy diving catch for 50 yards. But I did like the game plan. I thought in the second half, they did throw the ball quite a bit. I thought they could have used Jacobs a little bit more, but this is like the week before. This was interesting that after Josh McDaniels praised Jacobs, they haven't used him as much. He hasn't gotten 20 carries in each of the last 2 games, and they had an opportunity in this game to do that. But with the defense the 49ers were playing, the Raiders could take advantage of throwing the ball, and they just kept doing it. So I'm glad that they didn't get away from that, because I think a lot of Raider fans, at least the ones that I've seen on Twitter, they're kind of talking about the result here. Yeah, they blew another lead, but the prior games where they blew a lead, it was like, why is it run pass? Why do they go away from the pass? Why don't they, and then this week they kept going with the pass because it was working. And so, why didn't we run? Like, you can't have it both ways. Like, so the Raiders this week, it didn't work out when they kept throwing it. I mean, they kept scoring. They put up 17 in the second half. That's what we've been asking them to do.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a pretty good plan to attack the coverage rules, like we talked about. Like, they knew they were going to get quarters. They knew where they were going to get cover 6. They knew they were going to get cover 3. They attacked it, and they moved Warner pretty good with some of the motions and some of the routes to open up the middle of the field. I was surprised how much success they had in the middle of the field. Matt Collins had the big in route. You saw Warner jumping some shorter crossing routes. They threw it over his head. So I thought that they took advantage of the aggressiveness of the 49ers defense.
Got a PI on and Warner on that last drive of the game, trying to cover Waller. So
to Waller in the end zone, another vertical route to Waller. They got Waller vertical this week. I think he had 3 catches of over 20, 24 yards, and then obviously the pass interference was another one that would have been in the 20-yard range. But I thought it was a pretty good game plan offensively. And defensively, I don't know what the Raiders are doing defensively. This is one of those weeks, like with Patrick Graham, we've been talking about. One week I'm like, the Steelers, they disguised a lot, played a lot of cover 2. It was a lot of different looks, but they ended up getting into cover 2. And this week it was like, we're just going to run 1 or 2 defenses. They did a lot of rush 5 where they brought an extra guy and then played 3 under 3 deep coverage. So they had six zone defenders, and they had a tough time. I mean, Luke Masterson was pretty bad in zone coverage. When they did play a little bit of man, like Hobbs wasn't very good holding up on slants. And then they were leaving these big windows for the slants because they were rushing 5, and they had 3 underneath defenders that were spread out all over the field. There was huge lanes in the middle of the defense. So I don't know what Patrick Graham was really trying to accomplish this week. They didn't try to stop the run, but in his defense, they were playing a bunch of practice squad guys. Lange just showed up. Masterson wasn't very good. And when you can't cover the middle of the field, you're not going to beat the 49ers, because that's what they take advantage of.
Yeah, I think also in this game too, I mean, offensively, loved the game plan. Thought it was good. Thought it was some good stuff there from Josh McDaniels. I also just feel like there's some moments in these games where it's like that. I think was it the second drive where they where 3rd and 1 they kind of play action faked, and then they got blown up. The play got blown up. He had to throw the ball into the ground.
That was in the red zone. That was third down in the red zone.
Yeah, third down, right? I'm just thinking, like, I guess it's another situation there where, like, hey, like, QB sneak, or like let's maybe hand that one off. I don't mind play action. I kind of feel like second down is kind of great for that. First down or second down. First down is the best down to do that. But the play action fake, but it just didn't work. You can always nitpick a play that doesn't work.
I would have liked Stidham to give Waller a chance on that, because he was 1-on-1 with running to the corner with Hufanga. Like, you throw it up high and see if he can moss Hufanga there, rather than just throw it in the ground.
Yeah. And then I think also on that drive, I think the drive that we talked about before, the first moment was, we're sitting there saying to ourselves, like, on that drive where they went for fourth and inches. Just, I mean, you have a mobile quarterback. You have a guy who can really do. You have a guy who's not afraid to get hit. He's coming to the sideline with blood in his mouth. Talking to his teammates. Like I would definitely quarterback sneak on that 4th and inches. I mean, instead of going back. Listen, you have to trust Colton Miller not to get blown up there. If he has half a block there, Jacobs probably scores. But the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. I just feel like if you have the opportunity to get that, you could easily do you easily just do a quarterback sneak and get that first down, reset the situation. You got fourth and inches, 4th and goal on the half-inch line as far as that goes.
I mean, you could also do the Bush push. Like you see all these teams in college football and the NFL doing it. I haven't seen the Raiders do it once this year.
That's not that's not like I love the team who does it best is UCLA and Chip Kelly. Like he puts three guys.
Philadelphia, the Eagles, yeah.
Eagles do it too. Like they put 3 guys behind the quarterback, and then as soon as the quarterback he gets upright, and they just push him into the end zone, all 3 players. So I mean, I would definitely. I haven't seen a lot of NFL teams do that besides Philadelphia, I think. But like every team should be on that. I mean, you want to score, right? Who cares who actually gets a touchdown?
Forget who it was. I saw a team do it. They had the tight end take the snap, and another tight end push him. Usually, what you see is the tight end come in motion and then stop right behind the quarterback and push the quarterback. But
yeah,
you could use I mean, I don't know if I'd want to put a running back in there because he doesn't take snaps normally. But like just get a tight end behind there. Get Thayer Mumford going motion, put him right behind Stidham, and have Mumford just pick him up and push him over the line.
Get him up for some action that way too. You could do that too. Yeah. I mean, defensively, it's hard for me to really like get on Patrick Graham in this situation because I mean, people can say what they want. He's playing without 6 starters. I mean, you can quadruple team Max Crosby. They don't have another pass rusher in this game. I thought, I don't know. Looking at that play, that little fluttering pass when they got pressure and the ball went up into the air. I mean, that was the difference in the game, right? When the ball went up in the air and fluttered in the air, the Niners got 2 of them. And then when they're time for the Raiders to get one, Nate Hobbs was in the 5th row. So I'm not sure what Hobbs was looking at there, but a tough situation for the Raiders here. They hung tough, no moral victories. You want to win the game. I think he has to. I mean, I think listen, early next season, you gotta start stacking these wins. You gotta start winning football games. Like it has to happen. It's going to be an issue if he doesn't. But in this game, when the spread is almost 10, and everybody and your grandmother is telling you how much the Niners are going to whoop your behind, this was a good performance by the Raiders to kind of hang in there as much as they could. And then offensively, they did a really good job of moving the football against one of the best teams in football. And I think Devontae Adams just showed why. They just need to get whoever the quarterback is, whether it's Brady, whether it's Garoppolo, just get somebody who can get him the football. Fix what you got to do on this defense and become more of a competitive team because he gives you a chance on every single Sunday.
Yeah, I just think going back to Graham that he doesn't have any pieces to work with, but at the same time, like he didn't really disguise anything much in this game. Mm-hmm. He didn't try to stack the box and take away McCaffrey and make Purdy throw the ball. He let them run slants over and over again. He didn't get a ton of pressure. I think they only hit him 3 times. Like they didn't really blitz a ton. Like he made it about as easy as you can make it on a rookie quarterback to play in that game. After the week before, like running all of these disguises to confuse Kenny Pickett, and he did a pretty good job of that. And then this week he didn't do any of that. So like that's the one thing that I can't get over with Patrick Graham is like there's weeks where like Chargers week, the week against the Steelers recently, where like he put some pretty good game plans together. And then there's weeks where it's like, we're just going to run 2 or 3 defenses. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Or we're just going to play man today. Like they went from like playing zone early in the season and they played a bunch of man once Abram was let go. Now they're back to playing primarily zone. They're not playing as much man. So like, I don't really know what they're trying to do week to week. And there's weeks where it is multiple. Like they will play cover 1 and cover 3, and the next week they'll play cover 4, and the next week they'll play cover 2, and the next week they'll play man. So like they run a bunch of different coverages over the season, but in particular games they're only going to run a couple, like 2-3 coverages. And then he really shows the best on 3rd down, like where he gets all these weird packages. He had Polamalu playing deep safety on 2 or 3 3rd downs, and my problem is when he does that, a lot of times he just wants to rush 3. Like if you think about the touchdown where Purdy rolled out to his left and then threw that ball to George Kittle in the back corner. They rushed 3. It was 3rd down, and they dropped below. It was on the 2-yard line, and they dropped Bilal Nichols to the goal line. Like, what is he going to do on the goal line
Yeah.
as a defensive tackle.
Yeah.
He's not going to run down the quarterback, and they're not going to throw the ball right at him. And when you rush 3 on this defensive line, now you're saying, okay, not only are you already double teaming Max Crosby, well, hell, we'll just triple team him because there's one less guy to block. And then you basically neutralize your only pass rusher. And then you put a guy in coverage that can't do anything in coverage. And then you just let the quarterback have all day. And you have Luke Masterson, who basically just forgot to keep covering. That was his guy. He basically just let him go and score a touchdown. So the rush 3 on 3rd down is really killing me. I just can't watch it because you're basically taking away Crosby every time you do it.
Yeah, and I think also too is like, I mean, like during the game, like, can I see? I just want to see Purdy just have to rip it down the sideline, like, you know what I mean. You have it's the defender and the side and the sideline, so he has some help there. As far as that goes, the ball has to be perfect. When you give somebody the middle of the field, it's just pitch and catch. He's just sitting there. He's just sitting back there. Boom. Oh, I got Ayuk on a slant. Boom. I can hit McCaffrey. I think the plan for especially McCaffrey on passing downs, like, I mean, let me have somebody find out where the hell 23 is. Like, I mean, let somebody if Ayuk is a tough player too, so they do have Ayuk and they have Kittle and they have, but like, let me just find out the most dynamic player on offense. Let me have a plan so I can take the ball away from him, especially on passing downs. I just want to see more middle of the field coverage, and also just seeing him like have to force Purdy to throw the ball down the field, up the sidelines, because or deep up the seam, because I just didn't see any of that. And I feel like if you're gonna, like, to your point, we all know how I feel about rush 3. I feel if you're doing rush 3, then I don't want to have a conversation with you. Like, I can't do rush. There's never a point in a football game where you should be rushing 3. I just can't. I can't deal with that. But I mean, if you're dealing with Max Crosby, by himself, because there's no other pass rushers there, like, if you're gonna, that's a good time to blitz, and it's also a good time to blitz on Max Crosby's side of the field, because whatever the protection is, they have to make a decision. Okay, am I going to stay with him, or am I going to let so and so blitz off the corner, or a linebacker blitz off that side in that moment? Like, I mean, sit there and he knew he had Crosby picked up, so he just I think he just, like, on a Kittle play, he just rolled to that side back in the end zone. That was easy. That was just way too easy for that to take place. Like, the whole coverage it's the more time a quarterback has, it's gonna be a positive play for the defense. I mean, sorry, for the offense. So if you're on your defense, on the defensive side, you want him to get rid of the ball quickly under duress, or a situation where he just has to blitz, where you can get to him and affect him throwing the ball out of bounds, or throwing the ball at your feet. I just wasn't a fan of that. It bothers me to my core. I'm not sure why it's done. I see other quarterback coordinators do it. I just can't stand when my coordinator does it, especially because it makes no sense.
Yeah, 2 things that are sticking out to me is, with all the attention that Max Crosby's getting, and he's getting double and triple teamed at a high rate.
Yeah.
And the Lions are sliding to the right. Like, why aren't they blitzing off the left? Like, you don't see them trying to take advantage of all the attention Crosby's getting and bringing heat from the other side. Wow. I don't know why they haven't tried that. And then, to me, the question I have is, like, I don't know who the secondary coach is, but if Patrick Graham comes back, like, the technique in the secondary is brutal. Like, they lose leverage very quickly on a lot of different routes and a lot of different coverages. These guys that are supposed to have inside technique are jumping outside, and their footwork's not very good. So, like, I don't know what's going on in the DB meetings, but whoever the defensive backs are next year, like, it's one thing to not be athletic enough to run with some of these elite athletes on the outside. And Nate Hobbs' athletic profile is something I posted on Twitter this week. He's not an elite athlete. He's a good athlete. He's not an elite athlete. As when you measure him up against other cornerbacks in the NFL, which is why I think he's going to be a slot or move to safety. But they can't keep their leverages. Like, they lose leverage so quickly in the secondary, and that's really why they can't cover, because if you're supposed to be playing outside technique and you let the guy get outside, like, or you let him get inside, like, on these slants, like, at some point, if they're going to keep running slants, like, get up, press, and make him work outside. At least make an outside release and then try to get back around you. Don't just open up your hips and give up the inside slant to all these guys. So I don't know what's really going on in the secondary technique wise. That to me, that's a question I would have is like,
Yeah.
what techniques are we trying to teach these guys, and why do they just keep getting beat over and over and over again?
Chris Ash is the defensive back coach for the Raiders.
I don't know him, and maybe I'm wrong, but like that's
Yeah.
something that I see on tape all the time. Is like when a guy's supposed to have a certain leverage, like they lose it pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought, and for me also too is like, you know, I mean, also they have Jason Simmons, who's defensive back and passing game coordinator on the defensive side. But I thought like the Ryan family is known for blitzing, right? You think about pressure on the quarterback when you think about Rex Ryan, Bob Ryan, Buddy Ryan, like what is his role as far as like what is his role as far as that as far as like developing blitz packages for these teams? He has, I mean, you're talking about 33 years of experience in the National Football League. Graham has 14 years. Like I want to see, definitely want to see more creative blitzes. And like, listen,
if he's not calling the defense,
he's not. I mean, I'm not sure what the senior defensive assistant does. Like, that could just be. Yeah. Who knows what he actually does? I mean, I know the call is definitely coming in. You're correct. The call is coming in from Patrick Graham. So we'll see. We'll have to see about that.
We talked about the defense being horrible. So
yeah,
we're bad. Although you can't expect with the level of players that are running out there, like, do you want them to give up 37? No, I want them to give up 20. But I mean, they're not going to run out there and give up 10 with the guys that are running out there without Jones, without Perryman, and then they're playing guys that they just signed off the streets a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
you can't really expect it. And below Nichols, that the defense, the pass rush has disappeared. Like it was good there for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then it's disappeared again. It's gone MIA. So.
Mm-hmm. Raider fans, Trojan fans, thank you for watching and supporting the channel. Click all the little things around us and you can see more shows from the Student Body Right USC podcast and